Welcome back to Linux Launch, Basic Skills with a C-Model Framework. We're currently in Module 1, which teaches basic command line skills, and we're working through the acronym COMMAND. We're now on the last letter, which is the letter D, and stands for Discovery, as you can see on this slide. As you dive deeper into Linux, you're going to come across many commands. Sometimes you'll want more information about a command, including what kind of command it is, where it lives on the system, how the system executes the command, and what options the command supports. The first thing that I want to talk about here are the different kinds of commands in Linux. There are two different kinds of commands in Linux, built-in commands and external commands. Built-in commands are part of the shell program itself, like the bash program. They are actually built into the shell and therefore do not exist as separate files. Examples are cd, echo, and pwd. These commands execute quickly as no new processes are spawned. External commands are commands that are not built into the shell, but are either installed by the operating system or added when you install software. These are separate executable files stored in directories like /bin or /user/bin. Now in our Linux system, let's change directories with cd/bin, and we can then run ls, and we'll see many of these installed commands or executables. As you can see, there are a lot of them. Now, if you want to see if a command is built in or not, you can use the type command. This will tell you if the command is built in, and if it's not, it'll tell you where that command is located, as it is an external command. For example, run the command type cd. Now, as you can see on the screen, this is telling us that cd is in fact a built-in command. Because it's built in, there's no information about where it's located, since there's no separate file on the system that has to be ran. Now let's run the command type ls. And as you can see, this one's a little trickier. This is telling us that ls is currently aliased and includes options for colorizing output, but we aren't seeing where it's located. We'll need to add an option here by running the command type -a ls. This -a option is telling it to show all the references. Now in the output, you can see that first it sees it as an alias, and then it's telling us that this binary or executable is located in both of these directories for compatibility purposes, so it will work in different environments. So a built-in command will tell you that it is built in, and an external command will simply give you a location. Now, if you just want to know the location of a command, you can use the which command, like this. Let's enter which ls and press enter, and it will give you the location of an external command. If, however, we run which cd, we'll see nothing, as cd is a built-in command, so there's no separate file. Now, when we think about running commands in Linux, maybe you're wondering how the system knows where to find these commands so it can execute them. Now remember, we've already talked about environment variables in a previous lesson, variables like $shell, $user, and $home. These are values that the system keeps track of. Now we're going to learn about another important environment variable, and that is the path variable. Let's have a look at that by running echo $path. And you can see here that it's giving us a list of directories, and this is telling the shell to look through these directories for the command that you have ran. It will look through these directories one by one until it finds it. Now, if you have a script that you have written and you don't have its location in the path variable, you'll have to give the path when you run the command. Or you could add the directory for your script to the path variable. To do that, you would run path equals $path, /home/sysvin/myscripts. Sysvin is my home folder. It's my username, and my scripts might be a directory where I have some scripts located. Now, if you look at that command, we're first using path. We're telling it we want to create this path variable. And then we're using the current path variable as part of the definition, $path. The reason we're doing that is we don't want to overwrite the variable. we simply want to append to it. So we use the old variable, and then we use :/home/sysvin/myscripts, which is the directory that we want to append to the path. And this will now set our path variable with our new directory as one of the places for the system to look. Now, once we've made this change, this will only be temporary for this session. To make it permanent, we would have to edit the .bashrc file in our user's home directory. To do that, we would run the command sudo nano tilde, which represents our home folder, /.bashrc, and press enter, and this is going to open up an editor called nano. And here we could go to the bottom of this file and we would simply add an export command. So we would add export path equals $path :/home/sysvin/myscripts. Now we've learned how to identify a command's type, its location, and how the shell executes that command. Now let's look at how we can find more information about how to run the commands and which options each command supports. There are 4 ways that we'll talk about here. First, we can use the man command. Man stands for manual. This man command shows detailed documentation about commands. For an example, let's run man ls, and we can see the following output. It's using the more pager, and we'll learn more about that later. But to page through this output, you would have to use the space button. You can also see at the bottom, to quit out of this, we would just press the letter Q. But for now, let's look up at the top at the synopsis where it tells us the syntax for using this command. ls option file. So ls is our command. Option is where we would enter in the options, and you can see those down here under description. And you can read more about all the various options, and there are many. And now the file part, that's the file that we're running this command upon. Now this could be a directory or it could be a file. Options are sometimes called flags, and the file part of this would sometimes be called an argument. So if we wanted to view information on /etc, we could run ls-a/etc. And you can see we followed the correct format. There's the command, -a is the option, and /etc is the file or argument. So the option tells it which action you want this command to perform, and the /etc tells it which file or directory to perform that action upon. Now we'll learn more about the ls command later. I just wanted to type this out here as an example. Now the second option we have here is to use the info command. This is another documentation system in Linux, and sometimes it gives even more detailed information. As an example, let's enter the command info ls and press enter, and you'll see the following output. There's a lot of information here, and you can scroll through it, and to get back to a prompt, you would just press Ctrl-C. The next option we have is to use the help command. The help command shows a short summary of usage and options right in the terminal. So we could run help cd, and we'll see the following output. Now help only works for built-in commands, so it worked for cd because cd is a built-in command. But if we run, for instance, help ls, and we will see this, there is no help, because this is an external command and help only works on built-in commands. Well, there is help for the ls command, but instead of using the help command, we have to use the help option, and we do that by entering ls-help. So you can see this is not a command, this is an option that is available for commands, and when we enter that, we can see the output. So there is help on the ls command. So here we've seen 4 options. Here's a table of each one of these commands that we've just talked about. You can pause the video here and read through the information and learn more about man, info, help, and the help option. Well, that's the end of this video on D for Discovery, and in fact, that's the end of this module on command line basics. I hope this class has been helpful for you, and if so, I also hope that you'll join us in the next module. So that's it for today, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.